Hi and welcome to Tutopiya. I'm Akila and in today's tutorial I'll be demonstrating what students should expect from an online economics lesson here at Tutopiya. I specialize in economics at GCSE level, Cambridge and EdExcel, A-level as well as IB. Tutors take several different approaches to their lessons depending on the students' and parents' request of the tutor's assessment of the student. Lessons and study plans are then individualized to the students' personal abilities, paying close attention to their strengths and weaknesses. I personally place a great emphasis on application of the subject material, so lessons are very discussion-based and engaging. If a student is able to relate an economic concept back to me, then my job would have been complete. Our lessons will be conducted on the platform here before you. This interactive whiteboard contains a set of tools not unlike many art and design applications online, as you can see from the left panel. Although it's not compulsory, I would advise that students have a touchpad or stylus to allow for a more seamless experience when using the whiteboard. In order to simulate a lesson, we'll be covering the first topic of the GCSE syllabus, the economic problem. So to begin with the lesson, what you can see in front of you is a note that I've prepared in advance that I've uploaded onto Tutopiya's database and then uploaded onto the whiteboard by selecting this file icon right here. Okay, so let's jump into the lesson. So in this lesson we'll be introduced to 4 key terms. That is the economic problem, scarcity, choice and opportunity cost. Now, what is the economic problem? The economic problem and scarcity are almost interchangeable. The economic problem is the fundamental problem in the subject of economics. It is a problem where there are finite resources but infinite wants and desires. Therefore, due to the presence of finite resources, we are unable to satisfy everyone's wants and needs. This is the fundamental issue. Therefore, economics came about to be to allocate these resources in the best, most efficient manner as possible. So, economics involves the study of how to allocate resources in the conditions of scarcity. Scarcity, once more, is when there are finite resources to satisfy infinite wants. Or in other words, when resources are scarce, when there are limited resources. From economic problem and from scarcity comes the very important concept of choice. Choice is all about making decisions. Because resources are scarce and because the economic problem exists, consumers, producers, governments in the economy have to make decisions. We're all decision makers. We need to make a choice on what to do with our resources. So that brings about the 3 fundamental economic questions. With our resources, we ask ourselves 3 things. What do we produce with our resources? How do we produce these goods and services? And who do we give these goods and services to? So through these 3 questions, we determine how resources are allocated in the economy. So there are several different ways of allocating resources in the economy, and that is the study of economics. So once more, decisions, choices are made by consumers, producers and governments on how to best use our resources and for what purpose. Now, when we make a choice as a consumer, producer, or as a government, we are choosing between a set of choices, essentially. So, when we choose to conduct an economic transaction, or when we decide to do something, when we decide to consume a certain good, when we decide to produce a certain good, or when we decide to spend government money on a certain activity, we are choosing to go ahead with that activity and we are deciding to forego our alternatives. So when we have a set of choices, we must make a decision on one of them. So that brings us to our 4th concept, opportunity cost. This is the cost of any choice in terms of the next best alternative foregone. In very simple terms, it is what we sacrifice when we choose to do something. Now let me give you an example. Let's say that you have $10 and you can spend this $10 on apples or oranges. Apples and oranges are your two options. So from these two options, you need to make a choice. So you as a consumer make the choice to consume the apples. The opportunity cost of this decision, or the opportunity cost of consuming apples, is the satisfaction or the utility you can get from consuming oranges. So that illustrates the concept of opportunity cost. So in this demonstration, I have very quickly spoken about 4 key terms: economic problem, scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. These 4 terms are very interlinked in the subject of economics.